Hey, it's Hyacinth Henderson. Welcome back to my channel, Awakened Abundance. And on this channel, we talk metaphysics, mindset, and money. Today's video is going to be about preparing yourself for your next season or your current season of your life. So in the previous video that I released, I talked about energy, frequency, and vibration in a way that I used the classroom method to paint a picture with words. So if you have not watched that video, I highly encourage you to go back and watch it, because this video and maybe the next 2 or 3 videos is going to build upon the classroom method, okay? So as I was preparing to record this video, a number of ideas came to mind, and then Spirit said, Hyacinth, this is what you need to talk about first before you give them the ideas, the other topics, right? And so to let you in on what that process looks like, I was taking you to the different classrooms, the different subjects, and this video is going to be preparing you, asking you to look at your backpack, so to speak. So I was already ahead, like, okay, we're in calculus now, or we're in biology, or whatever the case may be. And Spirit was like, stop, before they even go there, you have to talk about what's in their backpack. Like, imagine that it's the first day of school, and in preparing for the first day of school, they are looking at what they have in their book bag or backpack. Do they have their pencils, their Trapper Keeper notebook? Yes, I'm an 80s baby. Do they have their erasers, their protractors? Do kids still use protractors in school? Do they have all those items? Or are they carrying a backpack full of rocks, and then they'll be unprepared when they get to the certain classroom? So this video is the purpose of this video is so that you get to assess what's in your backpack, so that your learning experience, when I say learning experience, I mean life experience, because life is all about learning, but your learning experience can be one that is fruitful and one that you actually learn the lessons because you have the tools that are in your backpack, okay? So if I had to pick a title for this, I would title this, are you prepared for this season, or are you prepared for your current grade level? We'll see what ends up happening on YouTube by the time I post the video. But I want you to get in the mindset of you preparing yourself to walk into the classroom. And before you can walk into the classroom, before you can even walk into the school, you gotta look inside yourself, okay? So y'all should know by now, in my videos, I primarily speak to the women. Whoever watches them, if it resonates, great, but the language that I use is primarily for women. I do not coach or mentor men. I believe that there are some phenomenal men in the world that can do that for you. However, I understand that men do watch my videos, and shout out to y'all as well, so thank you. All right, so we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to make sure you have in your backpack before you even step foot in the school. So I'm talking about, like, let's take it back in the days. Back in my days, before school, we would prepare our book bags. We would make sure we had all our school supplies and everything ready. I know nowadays the students don't get their school supplies until like they get to school, and then it's a whole different process. But in my days, we made sure everything was set before we went to school. That included making sure we had the candy curls and our LA gears and the different color laces and all of those things. So that's what this video is going to be doing. It's going to prepare you, and I'm going to give you 5 things to prepare you, okay? And I want to share that you're going to realize that the 5 things that I give you are in alphabetical order. I didn't plan it that way. I just sat here, and as I started writing the words that came to me, I was like, oh shoot, they're in alphabetical order. This is really what I'm supposed to be talking about. So I sincerely hope that you all watch the video, take notes, share it with the people in your life who you want to see grow and elevate as well, okay? All right, so what I want to say is, first of all, we all know that just because you graduate don't mean you're grown. And I can vividly remember when I graduated from high school back in 1999. Shout out to class of 99. When I graduated high school back in 1999, I remember leaving my graduation, my high school graduation. I can still vividly picture what I had on. I was wearing a white dress, some blue Tommy Hilfiger sandals, and I had no clue what I was gonna do after that. I was like, oh, okay, I'm done with school. I don't have to get up and go to school tomorrow anymore. I've graduated, but am I grown? Right? And I had to really think about that. And the next few months and few years of my life proved to me or showed me where I needed to grow, where I was ill prepared. So where I had left school, where I graduated, but I was not grown yet. So this video, again, is to prepare you so that whatever level, whatever season you are in your life, whatever age you are in your life, you're able to reflect and say, maybe I graduated from that level, maybe I graduated from that age, or I graduated from that environment, but have I really grown? Okay? Don't miss that. Just because you graduated don't mean you ain't grown. Don't mean you're grown. That's the title of the video. Watch. All right, so the first thing I want you to look at is your attitude. So A for attitude. I want you to ask yourself, do you have a winning attitude? And I know at first listen, you might be like, yeah, I have a winning attitude, but I want you to be honest with yourself. And a good way for you to do this is to pay attention to the feedback and the communication that you give others. Oftentimes, people have such negative attitudes and negative responses and negative thought processes and negative thought patterns that you don't realize that you really have a negative attitude. So I want you to do some work and do some reflecting and say, okay, how can I improve my attitude? Because what we have learned as we are going through our journey in life is attitude makes the big difference. Someone who has a positive attitude is going to have a very different experience versus someone who has a negative attitude. Notice I didn't say good or bad, because there is no good or bad. It just is. Another way that you can assess if you have a positive attitude is to look at your life and the things that you have manifested in your 3D reality. A lot of times people want things or they have desires and they're still stuck in that cycle. I call it the hamster wheel. They're stuck in that cycle on that hamster wheel, and they're saying, gosh, why haven't I moved forward? Why can't, I achieve what I want to achieve? 9 times out of 10, it's because of the attitude that you have, not because of what other people have done to you. So when you show up to a space with a positive attitude, then you're going to get positive results, even if those positive results aren't what you think they should be. What I mean by that is sometimes we'll get positive results that push us forward, and they may not look the way we thought they were supposed to look, right? So we may show up to a place and oh gosh, let me see. Let's say we're at a restaurant. Y'all should know by now I love to eat. So let's say we're at a restaurant and you have your favorite table. It's your favorite restaurant, and you walk up with the intention that you're going to request your favorite table, and the hostess and everybody knows you. They know when you come, you like to sit at that certain spot. And so you walk up to the restaurant, the hostess, and you're expecting to be seated at your favorite table. However, the hostess tells you, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Henderson, I'm unable to seat you at that table. There is somebody that's already there. You may not know that the chef, because you have been a regular patron of the restaurant, the chef has already requested that they prepare a special table for you right in the kitchen, and they set it up, and it has the candles and your favorite wine and all this stuff, and it's like real VIP style, right? So you may not be aware of that. However, if you have a negative attitude, when the hostess tells you, I'm sorry, Miss Henderson, your favorite table is not available, if you have a negative attitude, you may pop your collar a little bit and be like, wow, you knew I was coming. I have a standing reservation every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. Why is my table not available? What do you mean it's not available? I don't want to eat anywhere else if it's not available. And you just start having this whole commotion. Whatever negativity comes out of your mouth, you just spewing the negativity all over the place, right? And so that's one example, right? Because you didn't know what was happening behind the scenes. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. On the flip side, if you respond in a positive way, well, you know what? I'm sure the food is still going to be good. I'm sure you'll give me your next best table. I know you have something in store for me. Whatever conversation, whatever language resonates with you, but if you generally keep a positive attitude, then she may be able to say, right this way, Miss Henderson, and then take you to that special table that they have prepared. And then now your mind is blown. You're like, oh my gosh, they have my favorite bottle of wine. They have all the balloons, the flowers, Positive attitude versus negative attitude makes a big difference, and it's so subtle. Most of the time, people who are negative don't even realize they're negative. I've had to recently have conversations with people that are dear to me and say, you know, there's a very negative perspective. You know, you have a very negative attitude, and sometimes you don't realize it. So I want to encourage you all to assess your attitude and to ask yourself, do you generally have a positive attitude or a negative attitude? The second thing I want you to work on or look at and make sure is in your backpack is baggage. B for baggage. Yes, Lord. So we're walking into school. We're preparing to go in school. We're like, it's a new school year. I got my LA gears. I got everything ready. And I have all the old assignments, the old syllabus, the old pencils, the broken crayons. I have all of that from the previous year in my book bag, in my new book bag. And then I wonder why when I show up to class, I'm unprepared. Like, I show up to class with this book bag. It's a new book bag on the outside, meaning it's so shiny on the outside. Let me say that another way. Y'all cute on the outside. Y'all got your hair laid, the lashes laid, dyed, laid to the side. Y'all, like, you are cute on the outside. Face, B, everything, body banging. But on the inside, there's some baggage. How is that going to work out for you? How is that going to work out? Oh, and I wanted to say that at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you how you can apply these 5 areas to both your money and your man, because I know those are both hot topics. So I want you to think I'm just giving you this information and like not going to connect the dots for you so that you can see how you can apply it to your real life. And I know most people either concerned with their money or their man. Okay. All right. So yeah, back to the baggage. How can you show up to the first day of school prepared for the new season, prepared for the new school year, if your book bag is weighed down with all the baggage from last year, from the year before and the year before? So what will happen is, if you show up to the first day of school or in the new season of your life with all the baggage, you won't have any room to put the new stuff in. You won't have any room because all the baggage will be cluttering and crowding your space. So what does that mean? Translation, you have to check what baggage you're holding on. What do you need to release? And don't say nothing, because we all have something to release. What do you need to release? What do you have to remove from your life? Are you heavy? Are you weighed down? Do you feel generally heavy? And your baggage is going to tie into your attitude. So if you generally have a positive attitude, generally you have released a lot of baggage. You aren't carrying a lot of baggage. If you have a general negative attitude, generally you're holding on to a lot of stuff. Because if it's a new day, every evening when we lay down for rest, we reset our energy. Every AM when we rise, we're at a new point of attraction. So if you rise and you angry, what you holding on to from yesterday? If you go into work today and you angry, what are you pissed off about? Nobody did nothing to you today. Yeah, but they did it yesterday. That's baggage. I like to say to people, let's talk about the right now. Let's talk about the right now. Let's not talk about the yesterday. And I get my dad good with this. It'll be like an instant. And he'll be like, but how is it? I said, that's in the past. Why are you bringing up the old stuff? That's in the past. So think about that. Think about baggage and what baggage you're carrying in your book bag and how will it serve you? Because on the first day of school, everything's supposed to be new and fresh. Like, you're not supposed to have no old nothing in that book bag, okay? All right. Okay. All right. So after baggage, we're going to move on to C for crowd, companions, company. Crowd, companions, company. So A was attitude. The second one, B, was baggage. Third is C, crowd, companions, or company. Are you associating yourself and investing your precious time with people who are not going to the same level as you? Are you associating yourself and investing your precious time with people who are not in the same grade as you? They're not in honors classes like you're in honors classes. They don't have a curriculum like you have a curriculum. Are you investing yourself and associating your time? No, said that wrong. Are you associating yourself and investing your time with people who are not going in the same direction that you're going in? They don't necessarily have to be going into the same place because we all have different stops, but they absolutely should be going in the same direction you're going into. This goes back to positive and negative. If you want positive results in your life, you cannot hang out with people who have negative mindsets. because you're trying to go to California and they're keep taking you back to Tallahassee. And you're like, why am I not getting to California? I've been going to California for 2 days. And you just keep coming back to Tallahassee talking about you going to the moon. Why do you keep going back to Tallahassee? So you have to look around and see who you are associating with, because who you are associating with, and let me use the C word, the company that you keep, they're going to play a huge role in your ability to move on to the next level. We all know that our friends and our companions are very important as far as where we want to go, how fast we're going to get there, the trouble we're going to get into, the rewards we're going to get, the lessons we're going to learn. They play a big role in our lives, so don't sleep on that. D is for discipline. I like this one. Discipline is one of my favorite words. D is for discipline. That's the fourth thing that I want you to check and make sure you have in your backpack, okay? You got to have some discipline there. You can't outwork, you can't out money, you can't out network the need for discipline. Let me say that again. You cannot outwork, you cannot out money, you cannot out network the need for discipline. And what I mean by you cannot out money is because oftentimes when people have money, they believe that they don't have to put in the necessary work or have the discipline required to grow whatever it is that they want to grow. And I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know, because I'm the money lady and I deal with people with money all the time. And there is an abundance of people who have money and are wondering why they aren't achieving the results that they want to achieve. It's because they have the money, but they lack the discipline. And so that's what I mean by you can't out money discipline. Okay, so when it comes to it, you're going to need to have discipline and consistency in order to move forward. So as you're preparing for this season or the next season of your life, you're standing right there on the edge of change and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to another level, and you're checking yourself first. All of these tips are about you checking yourself. It's your book bag. It's not my book bag. It's not your neighbor's book bag. It's your book bag. When you are checking yourself and looking at the things in your book bag, you got to have an honest conversation with yourself and say, am I really disciplined? Do I do the things that I say I'm going to do, or do I always have an excuse for myself? Because if you always have an excuse for yourself, you're always going to have an excuse for others. And that's very important. And for you ladies who are, single or whatever the case may be on the market, you have to pay attention to that. If someone lacks discipline and they are not, upholding the standards, if someone lacks discipline and they're not doing what they said they're going to do for themselves, what makes you think they're going to do it for you? And by the same token, you have to be disciplined yourself as well, because people are always watching. And not that you're doing it for other people, but in this world, we know that we want partnerships and relationships because they take us further than we can ever go alone. So if you're wondering why you may have that full package, so to speak, and something still isn't clicking, well, check your discipline muscle. Like, you got everything else in that book bag, but you're lacking discipline. People of substance care if you have discipline or not. They care the level of discipline. Let me say it that way. People of substance, we absolutely care about the level of discipline you have. And we don't say anything. I don't say you're not disciplined. I just observe. Like, I just look, I take notes. I'm like, okay. Like Santa Claus making my list. I'm like, okay. Oh, I know I can't go too deep with this one. Oh, I know I can't hang out with that one. I know I can't do this, because, child, that discipline muscle for yourself is weak. What is it going to be for me? Right? So check your discipline. Very, very important. And the fifth one is E, evaluating. How often are you self-reflecting? That's a good one. And this video should prompt you to do some self-reflection, because a lot of times we like to point the finger at everybody else and never bring that finger back and point it to ourselves. So E stands for evaluating and paying attention to where you can improve. Assessing your role. You can only change you is what I wrote down. And that's very, very, very powerful to realize. Once you realize that you can only change you, yes, there are things happening in the world. Yes, this person did this. Yes, this didn't go your way. But at the end of the day, when you finish the temper tantrum, when you go through all the excuses and you share the story and you vent and you go through your process, at the end of the day, I'm gonna let you get it out. I may listen to you for 30 minutes, maybe even 45. At the end of the day is what you're gonna do, boo. Because you can only change you. And I want you to really think about that in some of the areas of your life. Like, think back to maybe some conflicts or problems that you've had in your life and think about like, dang, all that, it only boils down to me. Really and truly, because if not, you'll spend precious time. Notice I said spend and not invest. You will spend precious time attempting to change someone else. But we know that the way energy works, the more you attempt to change someone else, the more they resist. So when you actually let go and stop trying to attempt and force to change someone else and let it go and only change you, they be back. Such a magical thing. We call that metaphysics, right? So it's very important for you to do that that evaluating. Also, this keeps you out of victim mode. It puts you in the place of victor. What does that mean? When you are blaming other people, when you are continuously beating the drum and singing the song of what this person did, that person did, you are positioning yourself as the victim. They did this to me. They did this. This is what happened. They. You are a weak, helpless soul and they did it to you. Victim. And victims only get what they get. If you do some self-reflecting and some evaluating, then you can take a step back and say, okay, I can only change me. Now that I realize I can only change me, and I'm not negating that the experience did not happen. I'm not saying that at all. It absolutely happened. Whatever the experience is, it happened. It happened. I'm not saying that you were wrong. I never used those words. It happened, and not but, because but cancels out everything that you said before. It happened, and you still get to be the victor. You still get to have the victory over what happened. And the only way that you can have the victory over what happened and continue to rise is to do an evaluation and self-reflect and say, what role did I play in this? What lessons did I learn? How could I do this differently? How could I have done it differently? And how am I going to do it differently going forward? And this is the sweet spot. E is very, very powerful. A lot of people miss this because we are largely stuck in a society and have been conditioned to blame everybody else. It's everybody else's fault except ours. Again, not saying the experience didn't happen, not saying the experience wasn't messed up. All that can be true, and you can still be the victor. All that can be true, and you can still self-reflect and evaluate. All that can be true, and you can still learn and move forward. You can still take your power back and say, okay, I'm gonna learn this lesson so that I have the victory and I'm not gonna stay in victim land. I hope that really helps you. All right, so let's do a quick run through. I know I said that I'm going to show you how you can apply these 5 tools that are in your backpack to both your man and your money. So I'm gonna do a quick run through because everything that I'm talking about here, it really deals with energy, frequency, and vibration. It's metaphysics all day. But I had to put some sauce on it and dress it up in a way that is plain and simple so that you can get the visual of the backpack. You can get the visual of you being prepared for your next season, your next grade level, first day of school, and assessing what you need to do. But it all boils down to metaphysics. And because it all boils down to metaphysics, we can apply it to different areas of our lives. So I'm going to share with you really quickly 2 ways that you can apply it. So here is the same ABCDE blueprint that you can apply if you're dating. So if you're dating or if you're relating, aka in a relationship can be a marriage, a partnership, whatever term you like to use. So either you're single, dating, or you're relating, coupled, partnered, married. Okay. A, attitude. What's your dominant attitude about men, your mate, or partners? So a lot of times people will say, they'll ask me how I feel about dating, or they'll have conversations about dating and they'll start to say things like, you know, there's piss in a dating pool, these men out here, blah, blah, blah. Like all these different things that they start to say that are negative, low vibrating attitudes about dating. And I listen and I'm like, well, how you ever think you're going to be dating somebody that you like? How do you expect to have a positive dating experience if you have negative thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes about dating? If you have negative thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes about men, if you have negative attitudes about this group of men, these type of men, they ain't no good. This type of men, so you must check your attitude when it comes to dating. Okay? Or relating. How are you going to have a positive relationship if you have a negative attitude about marriage? How are you going to have a positive relationship if you have a negative attitude about partnership? So A for attitude is very important. We're going to go on to B, baggage. You need to unpack and let it go. Today's man should not have to pay for yesterday's mistakes. Today's man should not have to pay for your ex's mistakes. Let me say that again. What baggage are you currently carrying? So maybe you have gotten into a relationship or you're dating and it's your boo thing or whatever the case may be, and you keep holding him hostage to, you're handcuffing him to the baggage that a man he don't even know brought on. Like, he don't even know this man, and you are handcuffing him to those problems. You got to release that baggage. Erykah Badu told us that, bag lady, right? You got too much stuff. And in the example that I gave you with your book bag, how are you showing up to a new relationship? How are you showing up to the dating scene? Talking about, okay, I'm going on this date, but my last date was like this, and I know you're going to be like that because you drive the same type of car the last date drove, and he drove a Maserati and he wanted nothing, and you drive a Maserati, so I know you ain't going to be nothing either. Like, let that baggage go. He drove a Maserati, he had a temper tantrum, that was him. You might drive a Maserati and you might be kind. So the baggage that we carry is so sneaky and subtle. For those who are relating, oftentimes when you have been in a previous relationship or marriage, you can have the tendency to take that to your current relationship. So ask yourself, what part of this has to do with my current partner, mate, spouse, boo thing, lover, love of my life? What part of this has to do with him? And what part of it is some old stuff that I need to work through and process through? And notice I said work through and process through, because yes, ultimately you need to let it go, but there's a process that needs to happen in order for you to do that. Okay, C, company you keep, and companions. So plain and simple, if you want to be having a great dating relationship, if you want to be coupled and all that, you cannot be around people or keeping company with people who are out here telling you that it's piss in the dating pool. You just can't. If you want to be in a loving partnership or relationship, or whatever the term you want to use, you absolutely cannot be with people who are miserable and they talk down about their partner every time they get a chance. They're always speaking negatively. This goes back to attitude. They're always speaking negatively about the person that they're with, the person that they're dating, or their dating experiences. Like, dang girl, you've been out on all them dates and all them experiences is bad. You sure you ain't the problem? Right? So think about that. The company you keep is very, very important as you are dating and relating. And it's going to switch. It's going to switch. You may have to let some people go and say, I know you was my girl and all, but you have such a negative attitude about relationships and about men, and I'm happy and I'm in love. And every time I talk to you, you telling me about some other foolishness. You're bringing me down. I can't be talking to you every day. Like, we're going to have to part ways or whatever the case may be. D, discipline. How disciplined are you when it comes to the agreement that you made with yourself when you are single and with your mate when you are partnered? What does this mean when I say agreement? So for my single sisters out there, before you even partner with somebody, you have to make an agreement with yourself as far as what your expectations are, what your desires are, how you want that relationship to look, how you're going to show up. And oftentimes, we will make an agreement with ourselves and say, I want X, Y, and Z, but then we'll get out there and we'll break that agreement. We don't have the discipline to say, yes, he's tall, dark, and handsome, and he's fine, but he also smoked crack, and I said, I want nobody that do drugs. Like, this is the agreement. This is what I put on my love list. I said, I want somebody who, you know, is a lover of God, or someone who takes care of his children. And this man got 7 kids and he ain't seen them since Kingdom came and gone. Why am I entertaining him? Because he drive a Maserati? Are you entertaining him because he fine? Are you entertaining him because he puts it on you? Like, how disciplined are you to adhere to the agreement that you made to yourself as a single woman before you even started entertaining these people? That's very important. And then for those who are partnered, how disciplined are you to adhering to the agreement that you and your partner have set? Notice I said the one that you and your partner have set, because everybody different. Everybody can have different agreements. My agreement may not have to work in your house, and your agreement may not have to work in my house. As long as I am disciplined enough to adhere to the terms that we set within this partnership. So you have to ask yourself that. Okay, and the last one in the dating is E for evaluating. Do you self-reflect and then take accountability for the decisions that you have made in your dating experience? Like, you knew that he wasn't a good fit, but you still went out with him anyway, and then it ended in XYZ, or you knew he wasn't a good fit, but you still had sex with him, and now you have ABC going on. Like, you knew all of these things, but you still did it anyway. Don't be in victim mode. You knew, because ladies, our women's intuition will tell us every single time. Now is not the time to point the finger at him or anybody else. Now is the time for you to self-reflect and evaluate, why did I do this? Why did I tolerate this? Why did I say A and then do Z? Why did I accept this when I knew it wasn't a good fit? And it's not about you being right or wrong or being good or bad. It's about you learning. Remember, we are checking our backpack for our learning experience. And when I say learning experience, I mean life experience, because life is about two things: learning and love. That's it. That's it. The money and all the rest of that, that's just a little, that's the sprinkles on top. But life is truly about learning and love. So as you evaluate and you say, dang, you know what, I'm single and I said this, I wasn't disciplined enough to adhere to the agreement that I set for myself. And now I've done some things because I didn't get the lesson, so I had to get that F, I had to get that D, I had to fail that test or that quiz. And now I have the opportunity to either look at the paper and be like, oh man, I got a D or F, let me ball it up and keep going. Have that experience and say, oh, all right, it's him, let me keep going. Or I can sit down, review my answers, see what I got wrong, see where I went wrong, see where I didn't trust my intuition. Oh dang, I knew it was B, but I chose C because I wasn't really sure. AKA, I knew he was, but I still, because he was fine, or he drove Maserati. Like, you have to be able to do that evaluation process. Very important. And for you ladies who are already relating in a relationship or coupled or whatever you want to call it, you have to evaluate the role that you're playing in your relationship. What is your relationship mirroring back to you? Is it the relationship of your dreams? Is it your ideal relationship? When you said you wanted to get in this relationship or marriage, you had all these visions and goals of how it was going to look. Does it look that way? No, it doesn't. Well, it's time to do some self-reflection. It's time to evaluate your role and why it doesn't look that way. Maybe you start putting on that lingerie. Like, maybe you stop catering to your man. Like, maybe you stop going to get your wax. Maybe you stop taking care of yourself. Maybe you stop budgeting. Maybe you actually stop laughing and joking. Maybe you stop, like, you have to do the evaluation process. Maybe I stop tending to him and I'm tending to these kids first. Maybe I stop making him a priority and now they're a priority. Whatever the case may be, you have to evaluate yourself and see. Remember, don't fall into victim mode. Well, when we got married or when we got into it, he said he was this and this and this. You got to be the victor, baby girl. You must be the victor. So evaluating is going to help you with that. Okay, real quick, let's get into the money. So how can you apply the same 5-step process when it comes to your money? Number 1, A, attitude. What is your dominant attitude about money? Do you hate wealthy people? Do you see them on the internet and like, why they spending their money on that? They should have been spending their money on this. Do you feel like money is the root of all evil? What is your attitude about money? Think about that, because a lot of times people say that they want to be rich and wealthy and they want to have abundance, but as soon as they see someone else who is rich, wealthy, and living an abundant life, they have a negative attitude or a negative disposition about them. So check yourself. Do I really have a positive attitude about wealth? Am I concerned that if I am rich, and wealthy, that my family and my friends aren't going to like me? Or they're going to be begging? Like, what is your attitude about money? So you have to think about all of these things when it comes to your attitude and money. B, baggage and blocks. What are your money blocks? What money stories are you telling yourselves? I want to share with you something that I share with my clients all the time. The money that you have right now today is a result of old news. The money that you have today, that's old news. That's a result of things you did yesterday, last year, 10 years ago. The money that you have today, the salary that you're making right now, your income right now is old news. And this is oftentimes a block that people hold on to because they feel like, because I only have $100 in my account now, I'm never going to be able to afford my dream house. Because I only make $40,000 right now, I'm never going to be able to send my kids to college because they're holding on to the baggage of the old money decisions that they made yesterday or 10 years ago. Right now, you can make a new money decision. You can have a new money decision. You can make a new money decision, release that baggage, move forward, and you can look up and in 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, you're like, dang, I remember when I didn't have 2 nickels to call it a dime. And now your girl got $100,000 cash in the bank, right? Like you can literally do that, but you first have to release that baggage. And a lot of times the money stories that we are telling ourselves hold us back. A big money story that people tell themselves is that rich and wealth and abundance is only reserved for a select people, a certain class of people who look like this, or people who come from this neighborhood. Absolutely not. So clear your money blocks. Assess what money baggage you're holding on to. See, companions. Are you hanging around people who want to spend all their money? Like, are you hanging around people who have the same aspirations as you? Are you hanging around people who are talking about business deals, who are talking about growth, who are talking about generational wealth, who are talking about legacy? And maybe you're not having these conversations, but surely they ain't BMF blowing money fast. So you have to think about who you're around because it matters. You may be out and you usually, you're going out meal when you go out to eat is usually like 25, 30 bucks. But you keep hanging around these people who are going to these 5-star restaurants. And now all of a sudden, instead of your $25, $30 meal that you're comfortable with, you're spending $100, $150 at dinner and wondering why you aren't achieving your goals. Well, is the company that you're keeping, do they have the same goals? And are they in the same environment as you? Because I can go out and spend $150 on dinner and not blink twice about it, right? And really not think twice. But there may be someone who may say, hey, Hyacinth, I want to go to dinner with you, and we get the bill and it's $300, and now you upset. Like, what are you talking about? For me, that's not a problem. But for you, it may be a problem. There's no right or wrong. The person who spends $150 on dinner for one is not right or wrong. The person who spends $35 on dinner for one is not right or wrong. This is where you must assess the company that you keep in the environment. If you're around people who can do that and you can do that and still achieve your goals, then you're in good company. If you find yourself saying, Hyacinth, girl, I can't go to dinner with you because you don't want to eat at TGI Fridays and my budget is for TGI Fridays. If you don't find yourself saying that, then you're going to have a disconnect with you achieving your financial goals. Okay, so see, the companions, the company, the crowd definitely matters. It matters, it matters, it matters. I went out Saturday during the day and I was meeting a friend of mine and I said, hey, did you valet? And she said, no, I didn't valet. She said, but you can go ahead and valet. I said, girl, valet is $15. So I didn't valet. But when I go eat or when I travel, you were tripping over $15 over valet, but something else. So it depends on what your goals are. So you have to be mindful of those things, okay? All right, D, how disciplined are you? Amazon coming to your house every day? Okay, maybe every other day? What about those subscriptions that you subscribe to and you never use? How disciplined are you with your funds? Did you say that you were going to save $500 a month and now you look and it's the middle of the month and you have not even saved $100? Did you say in 6 months you're going to have $1,000 saved and yet and still you're still eating out, you're ordering things, you have nothing saved? So checking your discipline binder in your book bag is also going to be very important for you to be able to achieve your money goals and go to the next level. E, do you evaluate your expenses? Now, this is a big one. I don't care if you make $1 a year or $100,000 a year. I have seen across the board people who do not evaluate their expenses. Another word for that is budget. People don't like that B word. People who don't budget usually have money leaks, spending leaks. Since you aren't budgeting or evaluating your expenses, your money just going out the back door. You like, I'm working hard, I'm making the money, I'm working hard. But every time I look up, ain't no money here. Every time I look up, I need my money here for me, and it's out the back door. It's at the Amazon. That's right. You just working, you're working long hours, your money at the Amazon. You're working long hours, your money at the restaurant. It's at the Starbucks. It's at all these other places. You know where y'all money went. And that's because you aren't evaluating your expenses. You aren't evaluating. You aren't budgeting. And oftentimes, let me tell you a little secret, being in the financial services over 20 years, the people who have the hardest time budgeting are the people who make a higher salary, higher income. And that is because they understand that the money's coming in. Oh, I'm getting another check. Oh, I'm closing another deal. Oh, I got that. Ain't no problem. But granny or auntie who's on a fixed income, oh, her budget is set. You need $10,000, she got that. You need $50,000, she got that. How you got $50,000 and you on a fixed income? Because she evaluates, she budgets, she looks at her money, she's checking it twice. She knows what's coming in, what's going out. She's looking at it. And so you have to check yourself. Are you evaluating how you're spending your money? Are you evaluating what money is coming in? Again, for my high earners, a lot of times when you have money coming in and you know that you have money coming in, people could be owing you money and you ain't on top of it. They don't owe you money for 6 months. Why you ain't pay me my money yet? Give me my money. I don't care how much money you think I have. Give me my money. But you have to evaluate your money, because very few people will come and say, hey, I know I have an outstanding invoice. I know I owe you, and so I'm gonna slide it to you. That percentage of people who are gonna do that is very, very small. So think about that. So on today's YouTube, we went over the backpack method. I guess I can call it. I'll see when I do the editing. We went over the backpack method, and I gave you 5 things to make sure that you have in your backpack. And the first one is A, attitude. Needs to be a positive attitude. B is baggage. Check your baggage. Are you bringing old stuff into new situations? C is the crowd, the companions, the company that you keep. Are the company, is the crowd, is, are, do, are, maybe. We'll figure it out. Are you compatible with the company that you're keeping now? Does that make sense? Maybe not. Am I gonna edit this out? No. Are you keeping good company? Are you keeping company that is in alignment with the season that you're in and the goals that you want to achieve? So C is for company. D is for discipline. How disciplined are you? How strong is your discipline muscle? We're not talking about anybody else but you. And E is for evaluating. Do you self-reflect? Do you evaluate what you got going on? If you want to go to the next level, the next season, you have to make sure your backpack is set with at least these 5 items. All right, I feel like this video has been way too long, so I'm going to cut it short. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.